What it is, y'all, and welcome back to another Wistoria manga review. Now we are in chapter 46, and, well, this is actually an interesting one because we are now in cooldown mode from our previous chapters. So, there's not a huge amount to really talk about here. The last two chapters were kind of like one chapter broken up, and this chapter is 100% just them coming down from all the insanity that was the last few chapters. And, we kind of see Colette here, who's just beating herself up. She is just not having a good time. And her roommate Rose is just coming out here and is like, you look down to the dumps. What's the matter? What's going on? Obviously, Colette can't tell her everything. She is at least aware that it has to do with Julius. I mean, obviously, they all came from... I think Rose even came with them from the other school. I think Rose was her roommate back at the other dorm, if I recollect. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong, but I think that was the case. And she's just... obviously, Colette is just having a rough go, right? Really, you could kind of understand. In her mind, she called everybody out there, and she's the one that basically was the reason that Julius got unalived. So, it is what it is. But Olgirtha's just even like, hey, look, you have changed a lot. I remember back in the day, you were just like this cold, unfeeling, person. And it really wasn't until there's this day, I don't even remember this prior to the manga, maybe there's bad memory or whatever, but it looks like even Colette kind of came sort of, I guess face to face with the monsters, and she just didn't care. Just flat out, it is what it is. And I think we've all had those dark days. This was Colette's whole existence, right? But it's insinuated that I guess she didn't really get along with anybody. Absolutely didn't. Even Rose is like, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of you back then. It is what it is. But it all changed that fateful day. You can guess, everything kind of went haywire, and it looks like Will kind of shows up out of nowhere and just kind of saves the day. So... and that just kind of turned Colette's whole personality around. Everything changed. Yeah. The whole thing is... now, I have a lot... I have something I want to talk about with this. There's some speculation here that might just kind of go... but I got to reread some of the manga before I really get into that. But, this whole tone shift right here seems to all stem from Will getting involved with her. And she's like, you learn to treat others and yourself with kindness. You started to smile more. She had a complete 180 after this. Her whole personality seems to have just completely turned after this. And definitely for the better. Obviously, moping around like that, it's not a fun way to be. And to be like that 24/7, just not really all that cool. But, yeah, essentially Rose is like, yeah, I'm taking off. I'm out. I'll catch you later. And Colette's like, hold up. And as she gets to the door, she's greeted with Kiki, the little cat familiar that Will kind of from time to time has around. Also, I love the fact, if you go back and read the first couple chapters, thankfully, I say we're not that far removed from the first few chapters. The anime is still fresh in my mind. Granted, I've watched it 4 times now all the way through. All that. But Kiki's art's changed a whole lot. It's gotten a lot more refined. I love this artist and how much his art style has essentially just... I hate to use the word perfected, but it really has matured over time, and it's gotten everything you see here is very much like the character models you see in the anime. So really nice to see that. Because I think I've said before, but I think this artist is actually, it's their first time doing manga, at least on this scale. So it's just, and to be paired with Omori is just insane as far as picking, getting your perfect writer with just this phenomenal artist. It's just absolutely great, but I digress. So basically, Kiki's here, and we don't really know 100% why, but she delivers a letter to Colette, and it kind of explains everything that we have learned over the last few chapters. And it doesn't seem like Colette was not privy to any of that. All she knows is that she called everyone to the tavern, and then Julius got unalived along the way. She doesn't know all of the other stuff that happened. She's not privy to all of that. So this essentially is just letting her know what's going on. And you see kind of here, she gets a little bit of just kind of like a boost, so to speak, here. And once again, as was kind of foreshadowed earlier in the chapter, completely turns around, and her and Rose basically take off. And that's the vast majority of what kind of happens here in this particular chapter. A lot of it was just, Colette's story and the aftermath from Julius. But that is not everything that we have to discuss, because we now start to pick up with everybody else that's kind of ascended the tower. And we begin with Wigal. Now, if you remember his backstory, he did not get along with the rest of the elves. The whole elf faction seemed to really just have this disdain for him. And we see him over here concentrating. He's kind of perfecting his craft, so to speak. And we are given the presence of two very familiar figures. And that is Leafia here and Philvis here. And for those of you that are Danmachi people, these characters are straight up just borrowed from that franchise. And basically they start mouthing off to him. They start treating him basically like a second-class citizen. And, are you keeping up with your studies? Because here's the things that we expect out of you. Here's what you're going to have to do. Here's all this stuff. And he's just like, yes, I know. Yes, I know. And they just start tearing him a new one. It's all over again. All that stuff that he was, I don't want to use the word brooding, but I mean, it kind of was. All the stuff that he was kind of down and out about, the reasons that he didn't like the elf faction, the reasons he was stuck in the prior, I guess, school type of thing. And they're just like, you're never going to be good enough. You're never going to be this. You're never going to be that. And they're like, I love Elvis here. So talented yet so wretched. Apparently 6 years at the academy is worth its weight in dust. And Levia jumps in and she's like, ineptitude in the blood of the Lycazine. They couldn't be more different from us elves. And that's Wigal's breaking point. He's like, you take that back. I'm done. I'm through with the verbal abuse. I am over it. Those people are my friends. And he lashes out. He's like, I would take that, those few years in the academy over 100 years with the elves. He's like, they're worthy of respect. They are great people, and I will not have this disrespect. And it's great, because immediately these two are just like, that's awesome. Wonderful. You passed the test. He's at the one now? The test? The one now? And they're like, yeah. We just want to make sure you're actually, humble and noble enough to be part of the elf faction. He's just kind of like, does not compute. And even like, I love too, because like this tea set just kind of pops out of nowhere. The tea table just kind of comes out of nowhere. And they're just like, yeah, come sit, have fun. You're one of us now. It is what it is. Right? I love the little poof right there. It's great. So, to make a long story short, basically they're just like, yeah, it was all a test. Like, there is a lot of, classism and elitism amongst the elves, and we just want to make sure you're not one of those people, right? But they do kind of allude to the fact that old girl here, she is kind of part of the problem. Yes, she is. She wears that veil. They do seem to think that underneath she's a better person than she lets on the outside. We'll see if that holds true. I will say what's really interesting here is the Magia I guess, title does seem to corrupt everybody, but it also goes back to that idea of absolute power corrupts absolutely. It just does seem to make sense. And poor Wignall is just like, I was down and out, and then I felt great. Weight was lifted, and old girl shows up, and she just starts it again. And he's like, same as different day. That is what it is, right? That is what it is. But he's not the only one going through it. We pick up a Sion here, and there's not a lot to take away from the whole Sion thing, with one exception. So Sion's just like basically unleashing all these attacks, right? He's going crazy. He's basically training to be the best version of himself that he could be. And this dude conjures up a black flame lion. If you remember back, Sion had his familiar. He had like basically a phoenix looking thing, and that in and of itself was considered a high level spell. He's like, this is insane. This is a whole other level. And dude's over here like, yeah, if you can't summon at least one of these, I don't care how big it is, but if you can't at least summon like a kitten, we are going to have problems. And he says here, my flames will burn you for all eternity. Do you understand? Failure is not an option. And I love that. Absolutely love it. Because Sion's doing everything he can here. Just absolutely everything he can. And he's just, the whole time in the back of his mind, he's like, how am I supposed to go about, the spy business when I'm dealing with that, with all of this? And dude's like, are you worried about your schoolmates or about the traitor or the puppet magic? What is your priority here? And Sion's like, wait, how does he know about all of this? How does he know? And yeah, like Claire was like, no one's supposed to know. Don't let anybody know. And he's like, how did he figure it out? And he's thinking to himself, how could he possibly know? And dude's like, yeah, how indeed? How would I know? Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? And he never really explains this. He's like, is he the traitor? And dude's like, I guess you'll have to get stronger if you want to find out. It's that simple. And I love it. This is amazing. So, of course, Sion's just like, challenge accepted. We got this. Bet. And, of course, then we got to go back to the Thunder faction, because we've got Will and we've got Colette here, and they're just having, or I guess that is Colette, but is that the Thunder faction? I thought it was the Thunder faction, but it doesn't matter what it is. It seems to be Thunder, but that looks like Colette, not Liana. And Colette's of a different faction, but it doesn't matter. They're confronted by this group of whoever the heck they are and this giant thing. And that is where the chapter lets off. Initially, when I read this, I had read it a couple days ago. In my mind, I thought this was the Thunder faction because that looks like Thunder there, and that this was Liana. I just let it slip my mind, but it looks more like Colette and Will, and this looks like something completely random. So maybe these are some of the people we're looking for. I don't know. We'll have to find out. But we will have the review. Chapter 47 seems like it is out now, so we will check that out. But as of this point, we are basically caught up. And so from this point going forward, after Sunday's update, you can expect about 4 weeks to a month between updates. It sucks. We're there. But the story is amazing, and I cannot wait for more chapters. Let me know what you guys thought down below. And I'll pose this question to you because I've really thought about reformatting these and redoing my manga reviews in this. If you want to see like a more cinematic and more dynamic version, even if we do recover the whole manga chapter and basically retell it a little more paraphrased my way, let me know down below. I think that'd be super fun, but I want to know what you guys think, because you guys seem to really be enjoying these manga reviews, and instead of just reviewing it, we'll actually do a little bit more of like a paraphrasing storytelling type version of that. But it's up to you guys. Let me know what you guys think as always, and I'll be back with more Wistoria really soon. And season 2 should be coming out. I don't know. We don't know. They just greenlit it last year, so I'm gonna say probably another year in production, I would guess. So probably 2026. But we do know that season 2 is coming at some point, and I am stoked. So, see you guys again for more Wistoria, more Danmachi, more anything Omori. Like at this point, I'm sold. Omori is just the best. See you guys again real soon.